So, what is an invitation as it relates to us and our dogs? That's what we're talking about today. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Kathy Kowalik, and I believe that our dogs connect us to the heart and soul of what really matters in life. So hang out and we'll take a deep dive into the human-dog connection and explore strategies that will inspire you to create legendary, enlightened partnership with your dog. This is the Enlightened by Dogs podcast. Well, hello friends, Kathy Kowalik here, your host of Enlightened by Dogs. I thought I would share with you one of the discussions that we had about an invitation. Why is it an invitation, right? But we speak about invitations and inviting our dogs all throughout all of the things that we do. That's part of our partnership lifestyle. And so one of the discussions was, why is it an invitation? And how do we define invite? And so the first thing that I thought I would share is this thought that I had, and that is by itself, the very act of inviting opens the pathway to connection. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just the very nature of participating in an act of invitation automatically opens that up. And one of the examples that I used, I thought I would share with you, it's like if you have, a friend, a girlfriend, and you're thinking, oh, it'd be great, to get together and spend some time together, do something, catch up, whatever, right? And you might call her up and say, hey, I was thinking it'd be great to, get together. Would you like to meet me for lunch today? I know it's kind of spur of the moment, but I'd love to connect with you. How about it? Versus something that would go like this. I'll be at the cafe at noon. Meet me there, please. You know what I mean? I mean, it has a completely different vibe, doesn't it? I mean, the first one, it's literally a genuine invitation with an expectation that is open-ended. I don't expect you to say yes. I don't expect you to show up. It would be awesome, but I know that you may have your own opinion, your own feelings, your own schedule, whatever, right? Versus the second way that I would present that implies compliance, right? There's an expectation that you will show up, that you are available and ready, willing, and able to meet me for lunch. And so I just give you the details of where I'll be, and and I know you'll be there because you're amazing, right? And so when we actually invite, when we genuinely and authentically invite, it opens a dialogue, right? It automatically opens a dialogue and a flow of loving connection. And so one of the things I was joking about over the weekend was it's kind of the flow of love. It's kind of like love lava. So I don't know that somehow that phrase tickles me, love lava. All right. So why? Why is it an invitation? So another thing to think about is that when we why do we want an invitation? Why are we extending an invitation? I guess that's what I want to say there. And so that meets our mutual needs. So mutual, like for me and you, like if we were two friends going for lunch, or us and our dogs, right? So as social animals, we have a very strong and hardwired need to feel like we belong. And so extending an invitation to our dog fulfills that deep social need to belong and to bond and to be a part of a family group. I mean, that's just deep and strong and very, very powerful. That makes sense. And so that's the why. And so I guess I should also add that our discussion, and the details of our discussion centered around using the clarity questions, because you guys know how much I love using the clarity questions and how the clarity questions can be used for like just about anything, right? And so why is the first thing, right? And then the second clarity question is the what. And so in this topic of an invitation, and offering or extending an invitation, we can explore the what. Like, so what is an invitation? And so a couple of the things that I shared that, and that we talked about was that it's a heart to heart connection, right? Two beings connected heart to heart. And it's a heart to mind connection, right? And so there's a very significant looping of connection between two beings, right? It's also, in many cases with our dogs and of course with our fellow humans, a physical connection, right? And so like for our dogs, if it's a dance invitation, we end up, head to hands, right? We're connected physically in that way. It's definitely an energetic merging, right? And so we're connected, in the more the non-physical spaces. So, our personal space certainly extends way beyond our physical body, and so does our dogs. And so it's also kind of like a merging of our energy and our non-physical being. And then the next what, or the last what actually, it leads us into what's next. And so once we extend the invitation, it opens the door to possibility, to any possibility, like what's next? What are we going to do next? What shall we do next? And so of course there's any number of possibilities there, right? And so if it's a dance invitation, it could be, anything. It could be like, let's hang out. Like, let's go play. Let's do something fun. Let's just snuggle on the couch. Let's, walk over here. I mean, whatever, like, let's have dinner. You know what I mean? Let's, go practice agility, whatever. Right. So it just opens up because we're in a dialogue already, right? We have our love lava flowing. It puts us and our dogs into that circumstance of what is next, right? We're already attentive and responsive, and we're connected heart to heart, mind to mind, physically, energetically, right? It's like, wow, it's like the perfect scenario for possibility. What's next? So I love that. Wow, we don't know how to move into what's next. We have to get coached on that. All right. So you could play around with that. And then the third clarity question is the how. And so we talked quite a bit about this, and then we put this into practice, and then we figured out how to pull this into our partnership lifestyle on a daily basis. And it was just incredibly cool. And so I thought I'd share a few of the how pieces that are important, right? And so we have in the past talked about the mechanics, right? So that's one piece, right? And I won't really talk much about that, but it's about like our 3 Ps and our movement and our eyes and our hands and our voice, that kind of a thing, right? So there's the physical mechanics. But more importantly, and how it all starts, the how is our intention. All right. And so what is intention, and what kind of an intention do we have as possibilities, right? And so when we are partners, when we're living a partnership lifestyle, intention is a big part of what we do, how we live, right? And as I sometimes like to say, well, intention is everything, right? And maybe it's not everything, but I don't know, it's like the mother of everything, if that makes sense, right? Like all things are born out of our intention, right? And so one of the pieces that we talked about was was having an intention of having an open-hearted expectation. Now, I recently talked about that in a podcast. I talked about having the intention of allowing our dogs the space to say no, right? And so it's along the same lines. And so having an open-hearted expectation, in other words, we don't expect compliance. We don't expect obedience. We don't expect a yes. We expect to be open-hearted. And I would love for you to accept my invitation, and I'm going to present my invitation in a way that I believe is more likely to open the space for you to accept my invitation. But my expectation is indeed open-hearted. So that's a really big piece of it. And I think that ties into some of our core principles, like our core values. We who live a partnership lifestyle and, hold our dogs in high regard, is that, having that open-hearted expectation means that we are respectful and honoring of our dogs and of us, right? That all parties are regarded with high respect and honor, honoring their, feelings and thoughts and circumstances, and to give our dogs, in this case, agency. Now, to give them the feeling that they have freedom to accept or reject an invitation, right? And so I'm going to tie that intention piece up with the idea that an invitation, that, when we extend an invitation to another, and in this case, our dogs, we're speaking specifically about our dogs, but it applies to any invitation, the intention is that it's an act of sharing love. I love that. I love that. I have goosebumps, right? I love that idea, and I hope you do too. And there's more. I mean, there's a whole bunch more. And I'm, we don't have maybe the time and space to talk about it, but I hope that these pieces really make an impact, a deeper impact for you in how you are developing your partnership lifestyle. For example, like the polyvagal signals and how that ties into our energetic connection and the social signals that gives and there's a couple of podcasts that we've talked about, this whole polyvagal theory and how this works to help us connect with our dogs, and how that ties into safe, calm, and happy and role modeling, and why our dogs look to us for guidance, and how we can create an environment where our dogs, choose to look to us because they see us as beings, as loving leaders that will keep them safe, calm, and happy, that will have their back. So there's so many deeper trails that we could go down, but suffice it to say that intention is everything. And our big why, do we invite goes all the way back to love and being loving leaders and having heart to heart connections and, establishing a heart to heart dialogue with our dogs. And, wow. Yeah. So, I hope this was really helpful. I can't wait to hear about how you are going to put this into practice. I'd love to hear your insights and your takeaways from this. I think it's really amazing that we get to talk about things like this, that our dogs bring us together in this way to have these types of enlightening discussions. So, woohoo! All right, my friends, that's all I have for you today. So go off, have some amazing fun and connection and beingness with your dogs this week. And I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye and be brilliant. Thanks so much for listening. And hey, if you would like to work with me so that I can help you discover the missing pieces you need so that you and your dog can finally be happy and enjoy life together, then head on over to dancingheartsdogacademy.com and request your invitation to join us in the Brilliant Partners Academy when the doors open for the next enrollment. See you next time, and remember, a brilliant partnership with your dog makes your whole life brilliant.